welcome back everybody to this Move, Sweat and Suffer podcast with your co-founders Lee Hazard and myself, Joe Hortai. Lee is unfortunately not able to be here today. He's got some family there in Glasgow and things are going to be a bit chaotic and hectic. Things are hectic enough as it is with his little ones running around usually. But we have the privilege, or I have the privilege today of having our very first Burpees community female guest. And thank you very much for making time. The wonderful and amazing Elaine Fedyk. Welcome, Elaine. Thank you very much for making time for us today.
Hi, thank you so much, Joe. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. It's like I mentioned, you're our first woman that we've had on the podcast. And part of that is probably, I was speaking with Lee a little while ago about there doesn't seem to be a heck of a lot of females, women, from what I've seen anyway, and within the community, and that's a shame because they're obviously, like yourself, highly capable and very strong in terms of what they do, and what they bring, and what they deliver, and the inspiration that that provides to others. So I guess we're going to delve into that, or I'm going to delve into that with you with a few questions. But first, I guess, would you mind just sharing with us where you're from and what you do for work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in the suburbs outside of, I'm sorry, I'm going to do that every once in a while, the suburbs of Philadelphia, PA in the United States. I am a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now. I started that after my second daughter. I went from working in the corporate world to wanting to do something that I was really passionate about. And so that's what I did.
Awesome. That's awesome. And two children, you said? So
Two, yes, yeah.
beautiful, awesome. And so what were you doing in the corporate world, if you don't mind me asking?
I was working, I was an administrative assistant for an insurance and investment broker.
Yeah. And were you always training and exercising whilst you were doing that? Were you always staying active?
It was always a passion of mine. It really started with, I always liked intensity and hard. You know, it started with marathons. I just got into one day. It's kind of like Forrest Gump. I just put some shoes on. I didn't want to stop. I was never a fast runner, but I could go.
You could go. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that for a long time, and then over a decade. And then after I got pregnant with my first child, it's just kind of where things changed. You know, I didn't have the same amount of time to put into that kind of training. And HIIT really started. That's when that kind of started to come about too. And I was like,
gotcha.
Yeah, 10 minutes of intensity, and I was like, woo, you know. And that's where I fell in love with that, like, you know, I'm gonna die kind of. For lack of better words, you know,
So, oh, I'm gonna die. This is great. That's awesome. Hard case. And so so 7 years you've been doing the PT, fitness instructor, all that sort of stuff now.
Yes.
And how has that, and obviously you're passionate about it, what sort of changes or impacts have you noticed, not only with you, but with your family and or relationships and just your energy in general?
I mean, you know, first of all, I love it. It doesn't feel like work because, you know, I get to do what I love. And, you know, so I'm grateful for that. And it actually, you know, it gives me, it's part-time. So it gives me more time to, you know, be with my family, you know, do the things I need to do as a mother. And, yeah, you know, I mean, so it's just, you know, it keeps me happy, you know, doing what I love. And so, you know, that's really important. And, and I have more time, you know, to do.
Awesome.
And actually with COVID, you know, my business actually like increased a little bit because, you know, I had to stop working at the gyms, you know?
Yeah.
So then I was independent. I did go for my LLC and, you know, started my own business.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just kind of cut out the middleman. So I ended up doing better.
That's awesome.
COVID. Yeah. So.
This is a good opportunity. What is your business, Elaine? Because I'll put that in the notes.
It's Synergistic Fitness Solutions.
Synergistic Fitness Solutions.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm local. I'm a little bit shy. I mean, you wouldn't think it when I'm talking right now, but I am. I'm not I don't over post on Facebook and excuse me, I got to keep on doing that so I can see and everything like that. So, you know, I'm more just local based, but I do train clients online and from, you know, afar as well.
That's awesome.
So, Yeah, and I like run a private group where we do classes 4 times a week. There are 3 of them are strength and conditioning, and then one is a Pilates class because I'm just a huge fan of cross training with Pilates. Good for the
Yeah.
joints, mobility. Mobility is important too.
Yeah, I reckon. That's brilliant. And so do you do that there is that gym out in your garage in home?
Yes, this is in my basement right here.
Basement.
Yeah, it's an old house from the 1850s. Actually,
Wow.
a house. It was a creamery. The general store is across the street from me,
Yeah.
and this is an old creamery. So this was the creamery room back here. There's every once in a while you might catch a video where I like angle the camera this way.
Yeah.
There's a little nook where all the cream was stored. It would fill up with water and keep
Far
everything
out.
cold. But yeah, so it's fun. And after it was done being used for a creamery, that found out we have like some history books on the place. They used to do like bluegrass jamborees right in this room here, which I just
Is
thought
that right?
like I think there's some like good
Rich
past
history there.
that went that happened
Yeah.
in the place here. So yeah.
Beautiful. And how many will you take in one of your classes at a time there?
I mean, honestly, when they're online, it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
matter. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter because it's more of a follow the leader style.
Yeah.
Following with me, so that can vary. And then in person, I mean, usually I don't max over. I mean, anything over 20 is just kind of getting. It's hard to
Yeah.
make sure everyone's being safe and
Yeah. Yeah.
appropriate.
Wow.
Today I had a group. I train a softball, middle school girls, about 13, 14 years old. That's every Saturday, and that's like a group about 8 to 10, depending on who can make it that week. So
Right.
that's a great number right there. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really see and help. And when the numbers get bigger, you kind of you lose some of that.
Yeah, definitely. And so
Yeah.
that's Saturday for you right now, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, is it?
Yeah, it's 3 right now. Yeah.
Awesome. And so did you have the girls today or?
I did. Yeah. So they're at 11 o'clock. And then before that, usually it's the Wolfettes. We do the Wolfettes training
Right.
Saturday.
Yeah.
We were invited to join Moses Cuevas.
Cuevas. Yeah. Moses Cuevas. Yeah.
Yes, Cuevas. And what an amazing session we had this morning. Like seriously, like it just it's what I needed personally because ever since my surgery, I've my self-efficacy was a little like I was teetering a little bit. I had lost some strength and nervous. And although I know that I don't need to be nervous anymore, I still was not feeling like confident.
Yeah.
And today, him just who did some high pumps, and granted I couldn't keep up with every single pump, but 6, 7, 8 pump burpees made me feel really good. It made me feel I'm ready to go into next week with a good mindset now. So
That's brilliant. Great to hear. It's interesting, how that happens and how that affects all of us from time to time, where sometimes maybe there's been a break, and we'll speak about your surgery and stuff, or I'll ask you some questions about that soon. But then coming back and getting into things can sometimes feel a little bit either apprehensive or whatever it is, or just not as confident as where I was before because of what I was capable of doing. Now I've had this time off, but that's great to hear that you basically bounced back. Was that the short one that I just saw you recently upload? Was that part of the session?
Yeah, was it one? I just uploaded a short on YouTube.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I saw that. It's you go down, do the push up, and then the alternating the arm and the leg off the ground. Yeah.
Like a 7 pump because you do 6, 3 per side.
Yeah.
Like Superman's,
Yeah, that's hardcore. So I've seen
Yeah.
him do those and then seen you do them. I was like, man. So wow. And so that's what you guys did earlier. That's what you did earlier today.
Yeah, he did. I liked his setup
Brilliant.
too. And he really inspired me with some good ideas for that I want to try next week. I'm going in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great to hear. And I guess so on here, I'm just looking at some of these. I had some questions and stuff come through from Lee and that as well. I'm going to ask you this one. You might have already. Oh no, I haven't asked you it yet. So what got you started in doing high rep burpees? I guess the reason for that, to give some context, from what I've seen, and I may be wrong, but there seems to be, I guess, more males in it. Maybe just because we're not very clever, so we pick the easiest movements and just get down and get back up. But it's not a very, I guess, not that training's meant to be, but it's not a very glamorous or nice looking exercise or movement or even a movement to do. So what
Yeah.
got you into doing high rep burpee routines? I know that's not all you do, but that in
Yeah,
particular.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a couple things, and actually, I'm really excited to answer this one because I wonder if it will help reach other females if if they
Mm,
watch. But
yeah.
so first of all, it was right around when COVID hit. I'm looking around for at home kind of exercises, and I came across and I was typing in burpees on YouTube and everything, and came across Burpees King and Iron Woman.
Right.
And then between the two of them, just watching, I mean, for probably about a month, I just watched. I was just like, oh my God. Like,
What's wrong with those guys?
like, stop. Like, and they all look the same. Oh my God. And, eventually I was like, I've got to try this. You know what I mean? I've just got to try this. So that was kind of what happened. But my thought process going into it was that I looked at it, and I should preface this with saying too, I always like to train hard. I always like to get my heart rate up. I always like to it didn't feel like I wasn't working if I wasn't like exhausting myself.
Yeah.
So there was that. But then the way I looked at it was like, wow, if I want to get better at push-ups, this might be a way to really nail my form on push-ups, because I looked at it as every time I would jump back up or you stand back up, that was rest. I looked at it like that was, rest from a rep instead of just, like pushing out a bunch of push-ups.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you need to do that too, but that's how I kind of looked at it. I thought, wow, I have the ability to get stronger at my push-ups and do them really well by doing them this way and taking the jump out. I was like, oh, that was like,
hallelujah.
I was like, yes, because you can sustain longer, but I mean, I don't think I can ever really go back to jumping burpees. I don't have an issue with them.
Yeah.
The benefit that I got from taking it out was just so far greater. I don't see why I would bring it back, really,
Yeah. Awesome. Unless
Unless
you're doing maybe a short hit session. Yeah. I feel like that too.
Something different. Yeah. But so and it really did. It did make me so much stronger. My pushing strength got so much stronger just because that's how I viewed it. Was like, and of course when I started doing them too, I couldn't just go straight up and down all the time.
Yeah.
I had I looked at Burpees King was big, like we're just jogging in between those reps, and taking the time I needed to recover to make sure the next time I went down, it was going to be a good one,
That's
so
awesome.
I tried to just set my ego aside, not worry about anything other than just working in, the place I needed to be and taking the time to do it right,
That's brilliant. Yeah, well, it definitely shows in your form and execution of every rep. Every rep is solid. I see the comments and stuff that go on your channel, and they're 100% bang on. Form is flawless. The push-ups, incredibly strong. And I guess what advice, so you touched on something in there, particularly for maybe the other women and females out there that may come across this podcast. What would you advise? What would be your advice to specifically to our females out there that, are just as capable, just as strong, just as durable? What would be your advice and guidance to them to get started and that sort of stuff?
If it's something that they're interested in doing, even using a little bit of elevation and using like if you have a bench, you can do an elevated push-up and just start there. Because the form really is everything. You don't want to get injured. And if you're not training that neuromuscular pattern correctly, you're increasing your chances of injury. So, I would say start on a bench, that's how when I train my clients with push-ups, we start, we might use the rack, put the bar up to whatever height that bar needs to be that suits them, and we work from that plane and then lower it and then lower,
nice.
So that would be, my bit of advice.
Great. And reps wise, when you saw, so you were watching for a while, Iron Wolf, Burpees King, and then you decided to try, did you did you start out small with small chunks of reps, or did you go big straight away?
Yeah. So what I did was I used my same method that I used for marathon training.
Right.
Like I kind of applied it the same way. So when I would marathon train, we would have lighter days, and then you'd go back some, and then you'd have a big day and you'd creep up some, and then you go back to so on the weekends I'd do 10 miles, and then the next weekend would be 12 miles, and the days in between you 3 to 5 miles, whatever.
Wow.
And then the next weekend back to 10 miles, and then you go to 14 miles, and then 10 miles, and then 16 miles. So I kind of did the same thing with the burpees just every day, because they were it's not running miles. That's what I did. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but I would start out with maybe 20. And again, I would jog in place till I was ready for the next rep. It didn't, the amount of time it took didn't matter to me as long as I was doing them well. That was the only thing that was important to me, And then so it would be 20, the next day 25, the next day back to 20, the next day 30,
That's brilliant.
Back to 25.
Yeah.
35. So you were creeping up, and before you know it, you were at 100. And it also was like mentally satisfying, because you'd be like, I have a lighter day, or then other days you feel like you're all gritty, and you're like, yes, I got a higher day. You know what I mean? Like it just was mentally appealing for me as well. So,
that's such great advice. You know what I said for our women, and to encourage them, and that will no doubt do that. But take a listen, men, because we're not that smart. We think and thought that we could look at Iron Wolf and Burpees King and Moses Cuevas and go, far out there doing 500. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Next minute, we're wrecked and broken and can't move after 20 or 50 or 100. So that's really great advice. And you're running. Do you still run regularly, or as much as what you were doing before?
Not as much. My knees aren't what they once were. So, I definitely... So I can still run like 3 miles. Like I said, I'm not a fast runner. When I was doing the July challenge, I was pushing it, and I was hitting I don't know, maybe 90-minute miles, and then I got to 8 30-minute miles. But my pace when I was a long distance runner was a 10-minute mile. So and I could still just do a 30-minute 3-mile run now. Yeah. But I don't really do it that often anymore. I did when I was recovering from my surgery. I did, but I mountain bike.
Mountain bike.
I'm an amateur mountain bike. I'm not crazy. One day I got on the bike and I was like, "Where have you been my whole life? This is so much fun." I'm like, I can't believe all these years I was running when I couldn't do it. Not that I just love it so much. It's fun. It's fun, So that's what I do for my. Other cardio form most of the time is spin or mountain bike when the weather's better.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you get out on the mountain bike with your husband or with friends or
Yep. Or myself, it just depends on how the day's going, what goes on. I mean, when I've done my spin bikes right over here, I do that. I'll do that 3 days a week. First thing in the morning fasted. I'll do 5:30 in the morning or something. I'll just do a half hour HIIT kind of session or something like that.
Nice.
And then so I enjoy that.
And I see you got your rower. I saw a while ago you've had your rower. How's that been with your training and incorporating that from time?
I need to start using it again, because I got it and then I was kind of ready for surgery, so it kind of that, and then I couldn't use it for surgery. So I've used it a couple times. I'll just do 10 minutes for a warm up or something like that. But I want to start incorporating it into any kind of circuit training I put together or something like that. But right now I've just been warming up with it more or less. So.
Yeah. It's still good. It's still good for the warm up. But that's great. So that's great to hear. And so I guess, if you don't mind, I've got some other questions, but I'll come back to those. If you don't mind speaking about, so the surgery, what was it? How did that come about? And how long ago now did that happen? Because that happened a little while ago, and you're still recovering, or?
Yeah, I think I'm good now. I think I'm good now. It was the recovery until I could start working out again was, I think, around, I'm already forgetting, which is a good thing. But I think that was 6 weeks, but they wanted me to wait 8 weeks for burpees.
Right.
But the funny thing is, like, other exercises felt like it was more like, I'm so, we are so used to doing burpees that
Yeah.
it feels comfortable, not comfortable, but like your body's used to doing that,
Yeah.
right? So it didn't feel like it was intrusive on my surgery or on my incision, but as some other ones did. But I still waited the 8 weeks. I was like, don't be silly.
That's good. So you see again, so the woman, you listened to what the doctor said, right?
Yeah, I did. And I used a waist trainer for a little bit. I still, when I deadlift and stuff, I'll still put like the waist trainer on just to, again, just protect the area and everything like that. But I had epigastric hernia, which is like kind of like up above your belly button.
Right.
And basically what happened was I had diastasis rectus, which is a separation of the abdominal walls, which can be common with women from childbearing. So, you weaken that those ligaments that hold your six pack together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what it was, overstretched. And I actually probably had it for a little over a year.
Yeah.
Really know what it was. I'm like, oh, do I have a 7-pack now? What is that?
Yeah, so I was going to ask, was it pain, that thing, or was it just
never hurt.
An extra ab that you saw?
It was just like a little lump the size of a quarter.
Yeah,
and
right.
The first time I had seen it, like, over a year ago, it wasn't there all the time. Sometimes it would disappear. So I was just like, oh, it probably, I just didn't.
I need to work harder.
I didn't think much of it, and maybe I didn't want to think much of it. I don't know. But eventually, I started to realize, I think during the July challenge, because, of course, with all those burpees every single day that in the Iron July, like I leaned out a little bit more and I was like, oh, that's like becoming very obvious. Like, what is that? And then talking to somebody like, and I was like, oh my God, I do have hernia, so, so
How long was that surgery? So how long did that surgery take for something like that? And so, because it was 8 weeks to recover.
Same day. Yeah, it was the same day. So I went. Yeah, she said, the surgeon herself, she said that she's like, it's like a 20-minute job. So it's pretty common. So, so on her end, it was pretty quick, but yeah, so then it was like, handful, 4 or 5 hours by the time you're all checked in and then checked out. And everything,
Right. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yep.
Good to hear that all went well.
3 days were kind of sucky,
Yeah.
I couldn't stand up straight. I was like, oh my God. I was like very miserable, I couldn't even do this, And then after that, it really, I started walking right away. I was cleared to walk immediately.
Yep.
So I started doing that. And then within the next week, I was allowed to ride on my spin bike as long as I wasn't going like crazy aggressive with the resistance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I started doing that. And then after my follow-up at 3 weeks, she cleared me to run as long as I was wearing like the trainer.
Gotcha.
And so I actually found in my groove. I kind of started, I missed doing burpees. It was hard initially, but you just have to adapt, sometimes you just have to find another way, and I always knew I was going to come back to it. So that's what I did. And it was it was a nice little switch up,
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great mindset to work through that. And so I guess were you able to eat straight away, like with that surgery, or was it fluids that you were able to eat?
No, this didn't have anything. When it's epigastric, this doesn't affect your intestines or anything like that. It's just a little bit of fatty tissue that pops out. So mine was a less dangerous form. Like it's usually when you have the inaugural, I think it's called inaugural, I don't know, hernia, where that's like lower in the groin area, where that's like intestines popping out. And you need to be a little more careful about that. So maybe there's more things there.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but no, I don't have any issues.
That's good. Great to hear. Man, thanks for that. And so obviously recovery's going well. You're back into everything. This is what I want to ask you. What does your husband do, if you don't mind me asking? I know you said he's about to cut down some trees and stuff outside. I haven't heard it if it has come through, but what does he do for work, and does he train with you?
We ride our mountain bikes together, and he trains on his own, but he is a VP at a company that sells like computer test equipment and things of that nature. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So corporate world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do you have many males that are part of your training that you train? Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, it's funny because I've always gone hard. That's I always at the gyms that I work at,
Yeah.
I would get, I would get a lot of, yes, because it was intense. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
easy. Even before I knew what the burpee lifestyle was like, you know,
Yep.
the tough stuff that I liked. So yeah, so I would always get good male following to come and work
Awesome.
and train in group sessions and whatnot. Yeah, and then personal train too. Yeah.
That's great. Great to hear.
Yep.
And how, so you're in the fitness industry the last 7 years, or about 7 years or more.
7. Yep.
And burpees wise, though, how long have you been roughly sort of consistently burpees have been a stable diet, so to speak, and part of your
Yeah.
training?
It's basically like, so in March, I think was when it was right when COVID hit is when I discovered Iron Wolf and Burpees King. And then so March, maybe like mid-April or so, is when I started.
Is that right? Just last year in 2021?
2020.
2020, right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and
Wow.
it's been, I do take like Sundays off unless I'm doing the challenge, like, you know,
Yeah.
challenge, and every once in a while I'll just do some on a Sunday too, you know, if it's
Yeah.
with people. But yeah, so pretty consistent. My surgery, I had
awesome.
my surgery that took me off, and then last, what was that? The end of 2020 going into 2021, I had a stress fracture on the top of my,
Foot.
on my foot. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that I was in a boot for a while. So I just focused on pull-ups and push-ups.
And
I just that.
yeah. And how have your pull-ups been going? How for you? How do you feel the progress and stuff has been going for you?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, so that's like something that I still like where my, you know, self-confidence right now is not great, because my goal last year was to be able to do, I wanted to be able to do 5 pull-ups. I know that
Yep.
doesn't sound like a lot, but like I was coming from like nothing, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I surpassed it. I think I got 8. I ended up getting 10 neutral
Wow.
grip pull-ups, and then no, wait, 6 pull-ups, 8 neutral grip, and then 10 chin-ups. So, you know,
That's
I hit
awesome.
the
Yeah.
goals that I wanted to, but you know, after my surgery,
Yeah.
when I first tried it again, it was really just, you know, it's just so frustrating because it took me a year
Yeah.
to
To
get
get-
that far.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like a lot, you know. So I was like, oh, you know. So what I've been doing right now is I'm still going to make that a goal again. I can still do more than where I started at last year.
Yeah.
I'm still like 3 or 4 is where I'm at right now again. So I've decreased a little bit, but I haven't really put them back in too much yet. I've been just hitting up the road. Like, I mean, I do, when I train outside, like I do lat pull downs at the gym.
Yep.
You know, I do seated rows. I do my TRX rows, dumbbell single arm rows, you know, a straight arm.
Yeah.
I train all, like, you know, comprehensive for the back.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing since my surgery, but I haven't been doing the actual pull-up. You got to do a pull-up.
Yeah. That's it.
No, but that's kind of where my next step is. I'm like, all right, I feel I've given myself the confidence that I've worked on my strength this past month with my back, and now I'm going to go ahead and start to incorporate them back.
Brilliant.
And then
That's awesome.
just
Yeah.
ride and see what happens. So
You make some great points there. Just like, you know, to get better at running, you got to get out there and run, or run. You know, like rowing's good, skiing's good, sitting on the bike or an air dyne or a salt bike is good. That's all going to help. But yeah, if it's running at the end of the day, you got to do the running. And I like that same approach with the pulls. All that stuff is great. It's helping with the strength and all that sort of thing. But yeah, to get better at pull-ups, yeah, you definitely need to do pull-ups.
yeah.
Oh, great to hear. And so, your children, if you don't mind, how old are they, and do they train with you from time to time, or?
Not too much. They're not into. I try to get them to do stuff, and they, you know, they take Taekwondo. They like doing that.
Nice.
But they're 10 and 13, so
10 and
they're
13.
not always interested in doing burpees now. You know, they do them. I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, those are a punishment. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm like trying to get my girls to do is a lot of like posture movements. I just want them, like, I
Nice.
just see in our culture, you know, 10, 13, you know, we live on our devices.
Anymore,
right? So, I mean, I see it with the young girls that I train and everything. Even before we trained this morning, all of them, before, like this, and they're,
yeah,
teach
hunched
them
over.
to keep their posture correct, and
Yeah.
and exercises for that. So, that way it's, and when it's
Nice.
mom telling them to do it, it's just sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
get received as well.
Yeah. 100%. No, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that's great advice. Yeah, and you bring up, again, really good points. We do spend a lot of time on our devices, and I guess maybe this might be part of it, but where do you, so that's obviously one of those things, right? That you see posture, not just in females, but everybody, males particularly as well, hunched over like this. Where do you draw and how do you structure your programming, not only for yourself, but for your clients, like whether they're one-to-one or whether it's a group fitness session? Where do you draw your inspiration from, or how do you go about your programming for yourself and for your clients?
Yeah, with clients, it's definitely individual based on them, and you start with you do posture assessments and you see, because, if you see faulty movement patterns and you see they have posture issues, rounded shoulders and whatnot, doing a bunch of push-ups and neglecting the back, you're already tight through your front here, so that might not be your best starting point. Stretching the front, you have to start where they need to, and they don't always like to hear it. You know what I mean? Because we live in a fast world nowadays. Everything's quick.
They want it now.
It takes time, and if you really want to do it correctly, if you really want to get the game, you need to make sure that your body's in good, standing position first, and then stretching. You should look at stretching as part of your exercise. You shouldn't neglect it. Your range of motion, it's not just flexibility of the muscle, it's also your range of motion through a joint. Can you, how well are you doing, things, so it starts with all of that. And then the foundation is, you really should start with body weight and movement patterns, body weight, just so that they get the fundamentals down. And then, load training would come after that. So, and what I have found for myself, what I really enjoy doing, and I'm just getting back into like more of a burpees thing, is I have been alternating myself. I'll do 4 to 6 weeks of where I'm a little more focused on strength training and gains in that sense. I have glute gain goals and whatnot, so I do a lot of hip thrusting and deadlifting and things like that. So I'll focus 4 weeks on heavy, what's heavy to me. And I don't go crazy. I just more like hypertrophy. And I'll do that for 4 to 6 weeks, and I always still try to hit a minimum of 100 burpees in my workouts.
Nice.
With that, and sometimes I'll do them before or after, or I'll incorporate it through. And then after I do 4 to 6 weeks with the weights and whatnot, I back off the weights a little bit and I go higher volume burpees, and more like calisthenic. And I have just found it keeps it fun for me. It keeps me looking forward to the next, because I do really like strength training a lot too.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Me looking forward to the one to the next, and I feel like I like the gains that I get from that, and it kind of helps me keep my weight even too, because I definitely, with the strength training and whatnot, I notice I want to eat more. So then, I'm eating more, and because I'm telling myself I'm building muscle, it's okay, and then and then after that, I kind of go through like a mini little, shed there, and try to lean out a little bit, Wow. It just has been working for me, so I like it. So that's for me. That's what
That's awesome, and that's great. Well, that's what I asked for you and what you're doing, and that's really great insight for myself and for our listeners to hear those things about what you do for you. And also, I particularly love the aspects about what you're doing with your clients and focusing it on them, because it is about them when they come to you for their health and fitness goals, and they have you as guidance and maybe crack the whip on them a little bit to get them going and that sort of thing. So that's great to hear. You mentioned about food. What's your eating like now? Are you the cook, or is your husband the cook, or do you both cook and share the responsibility?
No, I do, and I think I'm a pretty good eater overall. I mean, I've been,
Me too.
I don't Yeah, I eat clean for the most part. I'm not like, I don't try to obsess over it too much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't follow,
that's
what
good.
I'll do is if I feel like I'm getting out of control with my eating, I'll track my macros. I'll calculate my macros and I'll track them for about a week, just so
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not going to nap.
Yeah,
And then I don't want to. I want to be done with that. I don't want to be
yeah,
me personally, and but it's long enough that it resets. Okay, I was eating too much over here. I was under eating protein over here. It just kind of helps
right.
me figure
Balance
out.
things out.
Yeah, where was
Yeah,
I falling off track from? So that way I'm not too hyper focused on it for myself. It's just good for me. Some people do great with just tracking it all the time, and I commend that. It just doesn't work. Just don't
yeah.
feel like I feel like doing it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, well, I don't do that. I could imagine. Yeah, and so but that's great to hear too, because I do think you'll get not only females, but there'll be males as well that can obsess over that and spend a lot of time. And I mean, if it works for them, that's great. Hats off to them. But
Yes.
I certainly am more aligned with what you've just mentioned there. I don't track any. Well, mind you, even if I know I've not been eating well, and I can generally tell and know because I'll feel it in
Yeah.
my sessions and I'll see it on my
Yeah.
gut. And
Yeah.
then that's enough for me to try to, okay, I need to snap out of what I'm doing here and get back into it.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. And the other thing is too, I'm kind of like a creature of habit. Like I could eat the same thing every day.
Oh,
Okay with
what
that.
is that? What is that same thing that you could
So,
eat every day?
oh God, well I could eat eggs just because I know it's like the best complete protein. Like so I
Protein, yeah.
like eggs like all the time. But like my breakfast it's like one whole egg and like four egg whites, a bowl of oatmeal with blueberries and strawberries and pecans, and
Wow.
a little sugar-free syrup just to make it taste like dessert, and like either a piece of turkey sausage or turkey bacon. And I mean, been doing that for about like 2 years now.
Is that right? Every day, that's your breakfast.
Every once in a while, I might do like what do you call it, the Kodiak pancakes? Do you guys have that? Like they're like protein or like pancake
Oh,
mix. So they're just a higher protein pancake, and I'll do those.
anything with pancakes, I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah, right. On the weekends, I do that sometimes. In lieu of
Awesome.
oatmeal. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't get old for me. So I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
it's balanced out.
It sounds good, actually. It sounds really nice just hearing you speak about that. What about so are you a 3 meals a day person, or are you 3 meals plus snacks, or are you just on the day?
Yeah, yeah, I do 3 meals. I'll do, like I said, I'll do my morning workout. So my strength and conditioning I do on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that's
Yeah.
at 6 in the morning. So I do that fasted.
Yeah.
So I'll eat my breakfast after that, and then the same thing on Thursdays, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I'll do my cardio on the spin bike or outside.
Yeah.
Maybe probably just a spin bike, because if I'm going outside, that might happen at a different time of the day. I'll do that fasted too, and then after that, I'll eat my breakfast, and then usually I'm fine until lunch. Then I'll have a snack, and then I'll have dinner. So I'm 4 meals majority of the time. Sometimes it's five,
Yeah.
five, and then sometimes I just splurge and I'm like, I just want some cookies, or what I mean? Like I'm not I'm not gonna like,
Cookies.
put an axe on it forever, because I find that doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
but
Oh,
yeah,
that's
majority
great.
of the time. And then so after dinner though too, I just don't eat. Right, I just don't
Yep.
eat after dinner, and that's my natural intermittent fasting is just
Yep.
built in. So if I'm eating dinner at 6 o'clock, I don't eat until
Yeah. The
like
next day.
9:30, 10 o'clock the next day.
Yep.
It didn't feel like work to fast. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
It just worked out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great to hear. And then obviously it's a good thing for our bodies too, with that fasting and things like that. And just listening to you and how you structure that, it's obvious in terms of the results that you receive, because I know that there's also males and females that look to and perhaps become a little bit surprised at looking at by what they receive in terms of doing the burpees. But what I really like about, particularly with your training, is that it's, as you mentioned, it's very holistic. It's not just the one plane of motion with regards to training and exercise. You're doing all the other stuff. You break up your strength training sessions and you have your other endurance-y or cardio type sessions and your burpees and stuff built in, which is great for our listeners, I think, and for people in general to hear. So it's not, yes, it's a burpee community, which is awesome, but it's not just burpees. That just happens to be, I guess, for me and my view and take on it, it just happens to be a staple part of the diet, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I'm like, I can't imagine life without burpees now. With whatever kind of training I do, we're gonna throw some burpees in there.
Lee would love that. That would bring a huge smile to Lee's face. Yeah. Do you dream, or not, maybe not dream, but do you think about, Lee uses the term fantasize. Yeah. Do you think about your burpee sessions of what you want to do the next day, like the night before?
Oh yeah. Programming is my favorite thing. I love making up routines and everything like that. So, and sometimes I'll be like, I've been known to be making dinner at the stove, and I think of something, I'm like, let me try that out real quick,
Yeah.
Try it real quick. I'm like, all right, I'm good, Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's hard case. And I think it's so good to hear you say that, because I'll sometimes be thinking of something, and then I'll quickly go outside and then give it a try as well. Okay, yeah. Oh no, that doesn't feel too good. I think I'm gonna have to work on that a bit more before I go and post something like that up. And then other times it's like, oh man, I'm just gonna do this. This is the first time raw, uncut, hit it on the video, and it's like, man, these look real rough and ugly, but too bad, I'm in it now.
Yeah, right. Yes, no going back.
Yeah. And I saw, it must have been a while ago. You were it looked like, and maybe it was the girls that you train. It looked like you were at a baseball field. You were doing some training, doing your burpees there, and a guy came along and joined in with you.
Oh yeah, that was so. I was on vacation then, and it was so fun because the hotel I was staying at. That was in July, so it was during the Iron Wolf Challenge, and I was like, I need to drive around and find a pull-up bar, because that was, part of the challenge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. It's like walking distance from my hotel was like the court. So I scoped it out the night before. And then the next morning I was like, I'll jog over. There's my warm up, so I jog over. And as I'm jogging there, I'm like, oh my God, there's somebody doing like, with the, burpees, no jump. And I was like, I started running faster.
Running quicker.
Oh my God. I was like, this guy's going to think I'm crazy. I'm being like,
you do burpees too. Me too.
Right? Yeah. Yep. And sure enough, his name's Doc. He's Doc. I think he's Doc Black Market on YouTube. Doc's something like that. He's a strength and conditioning coach too, and he knew of Iron Wolf. He's been doing burpees for years like that. And he was every morning we were both there to train, so it was like, it was just cool. It was so neat to have somebody like side by side with you, doing because you don't see that often,
No, you don't.
You, maybe on social media, but like, when you're in your regular, 3D world, not often,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was like, we got it. We both had YouTube channels, so I was like, we got to at least get a clip, of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so what was it, Doc? What was his channel again? Did you say?
Doc. Let me pull it up, because I'm not while I'm on the spot here. It's Doc Black Market Strength and Conditioning, I think. But I'm pull it up.
Strength and conditioning. That's so cool to hear. Yeah, but that's great. I'd love to. I'll make a note of that as well. I'll just shout him out in the show notes, as well as all your stuff. And Synergistic Fitness Solutions. I'll make sure that gets put in there. But man, this isn't cool. I've got some more questions for you. So if you find him,
I did. It's Doc Black Market. Yep.
So DOC Doc.
Yep, you got it. Yep.
All right, Doc Black Market. All right, we'll make sure.
His picture is him. He's got like red eyes.
Red eyes. Okay, red eyes.
Cool. It's like a black and white picture, red eyes.
That's cool. Awesome. And so back to you. What are your goals for this year? Like what are some of the, aside from the pull-ups and stuff, which you're going to continue to progress on and no doubt smash, what are some other goals for you personally in the health space?
Yeah, a couple things is glute strength. I'm looking to build my glutes up a little bit more. It's just something that is, I'm finally starting to see progress after years of trying and feeling like I didn't see progress. I'm feeling like oh, I'm actually getting there. So glute gains is up there with the pull-ups, and as far as personal fitness goals, that's really it. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm going for my sports performance certification. So
Awesome.
So like I said, I train these young girls, and I really enjoy working with like young athletes in particular. So sports performance, sports nutrition. I just started the course a week ago, really. So I'm just getting into it right.
Brilliant. And how long are those courses of study, your sports performance and sports nutrition? How long will they take?
It's online, and you can kind of go at your own pace.
Oh, nice.
I have a 4-month deadline to get it done. So
Right.
just because I need to do certifications every 2 years to keep up with my personal training certification. So it's like your ongoing education. So I have 4 months, which should be more than enough time. So I would think it's probably going to take me 3 months to finish it with life. If I had nothing else to do, it'd be quicker.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about the family goals? Have you guys, what are some of the goals for you guys with you and your family, with your husband and children?
Actually, we're just getting ready to just home improvements. We've done a lot of work since the house is so old. There's always a project to be done. This room's probably the last one that gets done, but people always like the look of it. So
it looks cool.
Wait a little longer. It's kind of camera. I mean, but so we've basically done everything. I mean, we've windows, central air, roof, detached garage. Redid the rooms, put another bathroom in, all that kind of stuff. The basement needs to get done. And also we have a deck out on this side of the house that we just got a contractor, and we want to expand it, just make it bigger, just kind of just make it, extend it outside living space, covered porch kind of thing. So, that's our home project that we're working on next.
Brilliant.
Eventually this will have to get, these are like horsehair plaster walls. So it's like, you look at them and like stuff just like trickles down. I'm like, oh my God, that up all this, shop, all this crumbles and stuff, but it still looks cool on camera. So
it does. It looks great. It's a great place to train. I could imagine your clients enjoying being in that space and being able to move around and sweat and suffer and stuff in there with you, guiding them along the way. Oh man, I had a question which has just popped out of my head. Oh, here it is. I was going to ask you, do you mind, how old are you, Elaine?
Oh, I don't mind. I'm 41.
41. Awesome. Man, that's
yeah.
Young, and a lot of that. That's so good to hear, and great to see somebody like you in terms of what you put out there and the effort. That's obvious, because you're usually drenched in sweat as well with your sessions every time.
My mom gave me the sweat gene though too, so it's partially that, and partially the effort. So
no, there's definitely a heck of a lot of effort in that in there, but we love that. Hey, listen, I've got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Which I want to jump into. So we'll do that now. I'll try and start off with what I think are easy. They sounded really easy in my head when I was going through. And then sometimes when I've asked some of them, people have needed to take some time. So you take as much time as you need if you need to.
Okay.
But the intent is to try to get rapid answers from you.
Oh, okay. I'm nervous.
Okay. All right. So I'll start off with hopefully an easier one. What's your favorite genre of music? Rock. Yep. Okay, cool. Note that down. Rock. All right. Let's go to favorite food.
Eggs.
Eggs. Favorite cheat meal?
Oh, sweets. I got a sweet tooth.
What kind?
Meal? I don't know. Is sweets good enough? I don't
Yeah,
know.
sweets is good enough.
Okay.
Chocolate or lollies?
Chocolate.
Chocolate or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Okay, chocolate and ice cream. Yeah, cool. I got that. Let's go. Top 3 exercises and why?
Burpees.
Yep.
Because the results are undeniable.
Yep.
Hip thrusts because it was a game changer in my training. It made my squat pattern better. It was easy on my joints and and then face pulls because I'm all about. I really like having good posture and think that's important. So
Beautiful. That's brilliant. What about who are the Glasgow Rangers?
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give you the answer to that now. So Glasgow Rangers are Lee's football team or soccer team. So football, they play football. And we asked that question there. Now I'm going to ask you this one. Who are the New Zealand All Blacks?
I don't know.
Oh, he's going to be happy about that too. Okay, that's all good. So they're a rugby team. They play rugby. Okay, we've got that in there. All right. Now, who was your favorite burpee practitioner? And you can't say Lee Hazard.
Iron Wolf.
Iron Wolf.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant. Iron Wolf. On here, last couple of questions for you. Oh, actually, last 3 questions for you. Because Lee loves to ask this question, who do you, aside from Iron Wolf, who do you usually follow? Who are your top 3 or who are 3 burpee practitioners, not necessarily top 3, but who are 3 burpee practitioners in the community that you check in on regularly to see what they're up to?
Martina Lavender.
Yeah.
Right? How could you not? Right?
Yeah.
God, there's so many of them. I feel like
2 more. You only get 2 more.
I know. It's like right now my mind's like there's mine, and that's a darn shame because that shouldn't be. But no, I don't know how to say Tibigastra.
Oh yeah, Jibbe Gastra. Yeah.
I'm watching him a lot lately, and then barefoot burpees. I've
Nice.
they're of course there's plenty more.
No,
I think
you can't
right
mention
now,
anymore.
Yeah, I know, but
No.
my rotation right now, like that just seems like probably the last 3 people I looked at, and she's my girl. I love that girl. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. We're hoping to get her on the podcast as well. She seems incredible, just like yourself. But yeah, awesome. So I've got Martina Lavender, Jibbe Gastra, and Barefoot Burpees. Incredible members of the community. Great examples. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. All right, I've got a couple more. What are you passionate about, Elaine? Share with us what gets you up out of bed. Why are you so passionate? Obviously, the health and fitness and wellness is there. What is it that gets you out of bed? What are you really passionate about?
I mean, really, health and fitness is definitely a big part of it, and I love helping people. So awesome. I really enjoy training with people. I have a live group that I work with, so I've since COVID, 6:00 in the morning every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, up training with them because they keep me going. You know what I mean? Like to keep on getting up early and doing what I got to do, and sticking with me. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I enjoy that a lot. I like helping. However.
And it's easy to hear as well, see and hear when you're speaking about the things that you're doing, and obviously doing the sports performance and nutrition is another tool to add to be able to help more people with regards to what you're already doing. So that's great to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thanks for that. This is the last rapid fire question. Can you finish this sentence for me? Okay. You need to finish this sentence. My favorite podcast is
Move, Sweat, and Suffer.
Yes. Correct. That's a great answer. we would have kept going over that again and again until I heard those words. So yeah, no, well done. Thanks for that, Elaine. So brilliant. Hey, I wanted to ask, have there been like challenges for you? What advice would you give to people that are trying to overcome, whether it's a physical injury challenge, or whether it's just a challenge around feeling like, I could never do that, or I couldn't train? Because I know that there are people that would look at your channel and go, far out, that's incredible, she's amazing, but I could never do something like that. How do you go about, and you probably come across, clients and that over your time that have felt the same, and what advice and guidance would you give to those people just to help them get started? Does that make sense? I mean, people that
Yeah,
might
absolutely.
look at you and what advice would you give?
I mean, start, with what you can do. It's so easy for us to be like, I want to, or especially like I go right to thinking of, clients. I want to work out 6 days a week, for an hour. Like don't overestimate what you can realistically do.
Mm,
So whether that's the volume of your workout, how many times you want to work out, make it a goal that's actually attainable.
yeah,
So, if you can only commit to 2 days a week, but you can, and you've got, 15 minutes to commit to it, start there because that, and you'll, for two reasons, you'll feel good that you actually said you were going to do it and you followed through. I said I was going to work out 2 times this week for 15 minutes and I did it, right? So you've
mhm,
actually completed what you said you were going to do.
yeah,
And then you're also building the habit. So, if you keep on building that habit over time, what's going to happen? That's just going to become your regular. And then you'll start to build on to that habit, and increase. So, don't try to like overshoot yourself. Like I said, when I started doing the burpees, I was doing 20 at a time. And I was just like, well, that's good. That's what I told myself to
yeah,
do. I mean, could I have pushed out more? Yeah, but I was just trying to be realistic with it,
yeah.
and yeah, and feel good about it then.
Awesome. That's great advice. Thanks very much, Elaine. I appreciate that. And those are great points. Don't overestimate it. Make it attainable or achievable. Start where you are. I really like that. And yeah, it doesn't need to be these long mammoth sessions that will gradually come over time with getting those small wins in terms of what you've
Yeah,
mentioned and building those good habits.
that's it. This is small wins and making it a habit. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Elaine. Listen, I have really loved this time with you and really grateful and appreciative of you giving so much of your time to speak with us or speak with me on this Move Sweat Suffer podcast. Again, Lee sends his apologies, but we look forward to having you on again and seeing your progress and tracking it over the course of these next 12 months with the great work that you're doing. I just want to take some time to acknowledge you and thank you for the example that you are within the community, for the work that you put out there, and it's so lovely to connect with you and hear you, to hear your voice. You sound
Yeah.
and speak the way that I sort of imagined it would. It's very energetic, it's very positive, it's very and it's quite funny. I've been glad that we've been able to have a few laughs along the way. So thank you for the work that you do, for the messages that you've shared in this podcast. It will no doubt help anybody that comes across it, males and females. Shout out to the Wolfettes and to the women out there who are incredible parts of the community. We hopefully that there will be more and more of you join in, and you've got people like Elaine Fedyk that you can reach out to for help and stuff along the way. So thank you very much for your time, and hope you and your family enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I had a great time chatting with you, and yeah, and it's great to talk to you in person. And
Yeah.
Lee, I hope you're having fun with the fam. And yeah, I totally get it. I do.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much, Elaine. Well, I'm going to sign off, and that's us here from Move, Sweat and Suffer. Lee Hazard and myself, Joe Horto. We've had the privilege of having the amazing Elaine Fedyk with us, and until next time.